Christmas! The is full. Welcome back to Spirit Seers Cocktail Corner. I'm Steve, and today we're going to be making a Christmas cocktail for you. This is a long-lost Christmas classic, dates back to the 1820s, and I'm really excited to share it with you. We won't be needing this beer. So let's get started. Some of you who have wandered in and out of thrift shops and antique stores may have seen mugs and bowls marked Tom and Jerry, and if you were like I was, you probably wondered what that exactly was about. The Tom and Jerry is a classic Christmas cocktail meant to entertain and have parties, and it really sounded delicious, and so I had to do some research and some digging, and David Wondrich found this awesome recipe in Jerry Thomas's bartending manual from the 1820s. And so that is the recipe that we've gone with here, although of course after almost 200 years the brand names will be a little bit different. So let's get started. The heart of Tom and Jerry is Tom and Jerry batter. Now I've chosen not to pour raw egg batter into this like 60-year-old bowl just because I don't want to have to try to clean it out. So the ingredients for the batter is 2 pounds of sugar, 12 eggs. You're going to separate the whites and the yolks. In a separate bowl, you're going to whip the egg whites with a teaspoon of cream of tartar until you get a nice meringue. Then you're going to set that aside. Then you're going to take the egg yolks and you're going to stir those together with the 2 pounds of sugar, 2 ounces of a dark Jamaican rum, and a teaspoon of vanilla. Then after that's completely combined and all mixed up, you're going to gently fold in that meringue until you end up with this batter. And after you've made it, if you keep it in the fridge, it should be good for about 48 hours. After that, I wouldn't recommend eating it because it is raw eggs, both yolks and whites. I have been told that if you have leftover after your party and you want to use it up, it makes excellent French toast batter if you just add a little extra milk. So let's get started. I'm just going to kind of reincorporate these ingredients by just re-whisking a little bit because they separated a little bit in the fridge since this morning. It's also okay if this collapses just a little bit. It's not a big deal. If anything, it will just make it easier to work with. So for our actual cocktail, I've got my Tom and Jerry mug here, and I filled this with just about boiling water, and that's just to warm the mug up so that your beverage stays warm longer. So we'll just take this hot water, we'll discard it there, and we'll start building our drink. So you're going to take a tablespoon of the batter, if I can do this without getting my sleeves in it. Then you're going to go with an ounce of brandy. I chose just this Courvoisier VS Cognac. It's relatively inexpensive, it's very tasty, and I think it'll just make a great addition to this drink. So it's 1 ounce. Okay, then we're going to go with an ounce of rum. I like Jamaican rum, so I'm going to use this Smith & Cross. You could use really any kind of rum, or you could even use bourbon, which I kind of grabbed out here just so that I'd remember to tell you about it. And it doesn't have to be Jamaican rum. You could use like Barbados or even like a less funky Jamaican rum like Appleton Estate. I just like a little bit more of that caramelized banana flavor, and so we're going to go with Smith & Cross. 1 ounce of that into our mug. And then we're just going to top that off with hot milk. So this is whole milk. I heated it up on the stove till just before it started to simmer, because you don't want to boil it, you don't want to scald it. Make sure you stir it while you're heating. So we're just going to top this mug up with our hot milk. If we really want, we can kind of take a little swizzle stick here and stir it together a little bit, just to make sure it's combined. And then we're just gonna dust it with a little bit of allspice, cinnamon, and fresh nutmeg. So that's our allspice. Put our cinnamon on next. And I'm a huge fan of nutmeg, so I'm gonna go a little bit heavier on that. Okay, so we have our Tom and Jerry. Let's see what it tastes like. Oh, that is just really, really delicious. It's sweet without being cloying, but it is very creamy. And the spices from the dark Jamaican rum that we put in there earlier, that banana flavor and kind of molasses taste. The little bit more funk from the Smith & Cross comes through really strong. And then that brandy brings a very nice sweetness to the table. And then you top that off with this just wonderful Christmas nose. You know, it smells like Christmas. Why we ever replaced this with eggnog, I will never know. Probably just because it's a lot more involved to make. But there you have it, the Tom and Jerry. We really enjoy it. Stick around though, because this is, after all, our Christmas special. And so we have kind of scoured the internet and the Salt Lake Valley to bring you what we like to call our last minute holiday gift guide. So if you haven't finished your Christmas shopping yet, if you are wondering what to get that special person, we've got a lot of great ideas for you. So stick around and we'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to our holiday special. Thanks for sticking with us. We've got our Tom and Jerry's here. Still super delicious. A tradition that I don't know why we abandoned.
I don't either, and I gotta say I went with the bourbon instead of the rum, and it is fantastic.
So I think these will be a staple around here for the holidays in the future. But you're here to learn about maybe some great last minute gifts you can pick up for your friends and family. And so we've taken it upon ourselves to scour the earth and find great things that you can bring home. So we're just gonna kick it off with our kind of drinkware, glassware, things like that. When you first drink a cocktail, you drink it in with your eyes. And serving a cocktail or a spirit in the appropriate glass can make a huge difference for the whole experience, and sometimes it can even impact the taste. So we went through and just kind of picked our 4 essential glasses. Most of these can be found relatively inexpensively and easily. So why don't you go ahead and just take us through what we got here.
Okay, so I do want to say you can drink any drink in any glass. You can do whatever you want to do. But there's something to be said about doing it the way it should be done. Or I don't want to necessarily even say like the correct way, but the way the professionals do it. And that is going to bring us to the first one that I really want to talk about, is the Glencairn here. This is a glass designed for tasting spirits. It's most associated with scotches because of where it was developed, but it's really an excellent glass for appreciating any spirit that you have not tasted before or that you would like to revisit or anything like that. Yes, it's very specific, but if you're going to do something, do it right. And this is a glass that I think that any spirit connoisseur or somebody who's pursuing a new interest in this would really appreciate a set of these. They can be purchased inexpensively online. You can get them labeled. Ours here is for Sugar House Distillery locally. But they really are an asset, and I didn't appreciate that until I bought my own. But hadn't been given a gift early on would have been a game changer for me, I think, for this. So next on down the line, we have a coupe glass, or a cocktail style glass. This is a stemmed glass that is often used to serve drinks up or shaken and then strained with no ice. These cups, again, it's a lot about presentation, but again, it's about how you approach the drink. They're wide typically, so you get a full like nose or a big breath of aromatics in the glasses, and having a set of these to offer your guests is something that I think is really essential, along with a highball and a rocks glass.
With these 3 glasses for your, as far as your cocktails go, that'll get you to 99% of your cocktails. Which brings us to our next point about that other 1%. You've got a...
Yes, so because of my association with Steve and Sabra, I was introduced to the wonderful world of tiki, and it wasn't until they actually gifted me my first tiki mug that I really became engrossed in it. And I'll show you. This is the first mug that I ever got as a gift from them, my Fu Manchu tiki mug. And since then, we've expanded our collections together and on our own to get more. And another one that I wanted to show you is one that my wife got me. And this is another tiki mug. This is Scary Terry from the Rick and Morty series. Tiki mugs are so diverse. You can get anything in a tiki mug, and they are fun, they're inexpensive or super expensive depending on how you want to approach them.
For sure.
But even a relatively inexpensive mug is so fun to have in your collection, because it gives you that experience when you're at home and you're like, I'm gonna make a tiki drink, and then I'm gonna put it in my tiki mug and I'm gonna go to the islands for a night and stuff. It just gives you that experience that you can become immersed in. And having one that's got a silly face on or something, or having this one that's more of like a pop culture, is just awesome. And they come literally, I mean, you probably can,
Oh, yeah.
you can get anything. You can get them in wood, in ceramic, in glass. You can have them plastic. I mean, there's...
And once you start, like, it's a slippery slope. The big joke is, like, the number of tiki mugs that you need is always one more than you have.
Yes, exactly. And if you can, if you've ever seen our Dark Water Lagoon episodes, you have seen just a small fraction of the tiki mugs that we have to offer. And it grows and grows every like week.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, I mean, and it's a fun gift. You don't expect to get that, and that's kind of the part of gift giving is, you don't buy stuff that people need. You buy them the things that they wouldn't get themselves, and tiki mugs are an easy thing because everybody likes some silly things.
Our next category, moving right along with the kind of cocktail theme, is barware, and that's something that is very near and dear to our hearts here at Spirit Seers. So here we kind of have what we would call, the essentials to get your bar started, and maybe one or two extra things. Everyone has seen the cobbler shaker. I think everyone's first shaker is probably a cobbler shaker. I know ours was. They don't hold a lot. They freeze shut all the time. They leak or they blow up. On our show, we like a set of weighted tins. Sure. We have a lot of these. The nice thing about these is, number one, they hold more. So you can make more than one drink at a time, which when you're entertaining is a huge plus.
Yes, and they're Boston shakers.
Yeah, so
Boston
also
style.
called a Boston style shaker. You see us all the time, we smack it to open them. It's more fun to do that. I mean, really, you can just kind of squeeze.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of cool brands. We like Barfly. We use a lot of Barfly stuff. They're built heavy. They're relatively inexpensive.
Pina.
We also like Pina barware a lot.
And we also bought some Amazon specials that are no brand.
Yeah.
And they work good too.
So you don't have to get fancy, but anyone who likes making cocktails and maybe doesn't have a set of these, that could be a really good gift for them.
One thing to watch out is get a good food grade stainless
Very true.
shaker, because you want the transfer of cold to your hands is going to let you know when your drink is ready to serve, and a good stainless that doesn't have an epoxy finish or something on that is really good. Yeah, they may look cool if they have a design and paint and all that stuff on them, but really if you're buying somebody something to begin with, get them something that they're going to learn with. Nobody starts as a professional. Right, and
Yeah, for sure.
even we struggle with that kind of stuff, and we've been doing this now for over 2 years, 3 years now.
I can't make a flip without it exploding on me still.
Exactly, yeah. But it helps to know that your drink is getting cold, and so you don't have to shake it for a minute and a half, you know, to feel the cool come through.
So one of our favorite things is the stirring glass. I have a generic like molded glass, stirring glass for when other people come over, that I'm not worried about them breaking. But this one is from Pina, and it's really pretty because of the design. But the other nice thing is that the spout on it is really nice and pointed instead of a more blunt one, which could end up spilling all over the bar instead of your cup. So
it's also crystal too.
it is
which
crystal
nice.
instead of glass, and so it doesn't distort when you're taking pictures or looking at it, which again, if you're stirring a glass, part of it is presentation for yourself or the person you're making it for. So I think that's important. Then the other important part with the stirring glass is the stirring spoon. They have some of these with a fork on the end. I've never used the fork end of a stirring spoon. So, I mean, if you want to spear an olive and then eat it, great. If not, you just get a stirring spoon, and they come in different heights, so it just depends on what you prefer. We have all the different sizes, and I don't really care what length.
So one thing that I found with a spoon, if they're too long, they are going to be specific for your stirring glass.
Yeah.
If you get a good mid-size range, like this one's about a foot-ish long, you can use it to build cocktails in a rocks glass or a highball glass, and it's not going to be cumbersome and difficult to use. The longer they get, the more difficult they are to stir, unless you have a tall glass to help equalize out the weight of the straw or the spoon. And a nice stirring glass with a nice heavy base is awesome because you're not going to knock it over and break it like we all have.
Yep.
And again, this one's really fancy and it's crystal and everything like that. And it wasn't expensive either.
It was
Again,
like
$25.
$18.
Okay, yeah. So less than $20 for a really nice, good-looking glass that will impress your guests. And anyone opening that as a present will be thrilled. I would think they would be absolutely thrilled to use it.
Next most important piece of kind of barware, mixology gear is the Hawthorne strainer. These really don't get enough credit, but the big thing is if you look at this spring here, this is a really tight coil, so it'll stop all but the smallest of ice chips. When you're building a cocktail that includes an egg white, especially like a bee's knees or a whiskey sour or anything like that, those ice chips will kill that foam that you worked so hard to get. So a good strainer is going to give you that really tight spring. It's also going to let you take that spring off to clean it, which is nice. So when it comes to our Hawthorne strainers, we really prefer Pina. They don't sponsor our channel. We just like them that much, And then a lot of people, they make a big deal out of the julep strainer, but you really don't even need that. That fits on there just fine.
And it strains just as well. Plus, you can hold your glass and your strainer at the same time. You don't have to worry about wedging your julep strainer down inside and holding the glass.
Or if you use the julep strainer and you have big chunks of ice, you use this to hold the ice back, and still, like if you muddled mint or limes or something, and you want to filter out this pulp.
So this is a jigger. This is a measuring device for cocktails or spirits. Typically a jigger will come two-sided. A larger side, this one is 2 ounces to the top, and then a smaller side, and this is 1 ounce to the top. And then they have, and I don't know if you can see it on camera, but they are graduated. They have little lines inside that help denote different measurements. This one on the large side is 2 to the top, and then 1.5 to the line in the further down. And then the small side is graduated to 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4 ounce at the top. This is called a bell style jigger. There are a lot of different kinds, but I think the most popular ones are bell style and Japanese, correct? And the Japanese ones, they look more
like a cone.
Yeah, they're more like a triangle, really tall and skinny looking ones. They are the same measurements. They may not be graduated on all of them. You can get them in different sizes, but it depends on your style or anything like that. But I started out using the Japanese one. I found this one, and I honestly go back and forth. I don't think that they're all that different. Some of them feel a little better in your hands when you're moving them around. But a good jigger is really important to have.
Get yourself a good muddler too. This one was actually a birthday gift. Yeah, so Saber got this for me for my birthday, and it's hickory.
Yep.
So it's really hard wood. It's not going to absorb a lot of stuff and like mess up the flavors of your drinks. And I never really thought that I would use a muddler a lot, but I use it more than I realized. The cheap metal ones with the plastic bottom, stay away from those. They fill up with water when you wash them. And then that nasty, or the tip breaks off, but they fill up with that like dishwater, and then it ends up in your drink, and nobody wants that.
And you just condition that with mineral oil when you feel like you need
or like
to.
butcher block conditioner, anything like that. Super cheap.
So another kind of essential thing that you're going to need for your cocktails and drinks is straws. And straws are something that everybody has. And everyone's aware of the big movement to go to reusable straws to save the turtles.
Hey, don't make fun of those turtles.
Yeah, so what the turtles choose to do with the straws is their business. But
I'm gonna punch you across the counter.
no, it is important to have a reusable and renewable product is something that it should be considered by everybody. And I stumbled across these straws made by Surfside Sips, and they are reusable straws that are made from borosilicate glass. These ones are made by the company Surfside Sips in California, and they are hand-blown borosilicate glass straws that are dishwasher safe, they're reusable, they come in a whole myriad of colors and styles and lengths. This is an 8-pack that I got that is the 8-inch tall straw in different colors. You can get, these are 5 or 6-inch straws, again, different colors. This one's green, this one's kind of a pinkish white. You can get these ones that are opaque kind of stuff, and then another just kind of a clear straw if you don't care about the color. And then they also have these straws that are really cool shapes. This one's a bamboo shoot. They have different ones that have little characters on the side. If you have somebody that really likes octopus or dolphins, they have different things that you can put on, and they're all handmade.
They have like bones too.
Yeah, they have bones. They have cocktail picks. They have all kinds of things that are made of glass. They're washable, they're reusable. You're gonna buy them this and they're gonna use them forever as long as they don't break. And even if they do, they're fairly inexpensive. I would say they're affordable to get.
I think it's important to note too, like, so we started using Surfside Sips before we were ever partnered up with Surfside Sips. That's how much we like them. And we've been using them now for like a solid year. Hundreds of drinks, because, you know, we use them all the time, even just at home. We use them in water, we use them in soda.
Yep.
We've yet to break one.
Yeah. These have been handled by me and my kids. They get a hold of them. My son helps us unload the dishwasher, and these end up in there, and he is not gentle with stuff, and they have lasted the test of time. They are excellent. And you can see, I don't know if you can see really good, but they're all kinds of different colors, and
yeah, we can't really say
nice.
enough good about them. And you know, this is where we have to make that mandatory plug, but we like them so much that we were really happy to be able to partner up with Surfside Sips. And so, if you use our coupon code Spirit Seers, no space, all one word, you can get 20% off. Pardon me. They make great gifts. Before we started using them, they do ship really fast, and I would have been thrilled to get those.
Yep. Yeah.
And before we move away, we've said Amazon a lot, but there is an amazing store in Salt Lake City that's just downtown called Boostique.
Oh,
the
yeah,
owners
we bought a lot of stuff.
are amazing. The store is as eclectic as you can get. It's got anything and everything you could ever want to build a cocktail, like from glassware, new, vintage, bitter, like anything.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We've refilled our Tom and Jerry's, and we've got out our picks here for bitters and garnish and syrups and other kinds of mixes that go along with the cocktail game. And yeah, we're gonna dive into that. So
this is the part where we get to say, for once in the alcohol industry, you're fortunate to live in Utah.
Yep.
We have a lot of great stuff. We have 3 great bitters companies, to my knowledge, in
I think
Utah.
there's more that opened this year, but it's been kind of hard to know.
So Bitters Lab, we love Andrea and all the fine people at Bitters Lab. They have so many bitters. Like if I pulled our Bitters Lab collection out, it would take up this whole table.
Yeah, we have a whole shelf of them.
Yes, and we
so-
don't even have the new ones.
All of their bitters are stellar. They have a store now at Trolley Square, or you can get their stuff at Caputo's or Harmon's. Honest John, we love Honest John. These started out at The Rest, which is one of our longtime favorite cocktail bars. I brought these bottles out specifically because they sell this awesome little set. You get these little, like, I think they're 1 ounce bottles,
They come in
or
like
half-ounce bottles, I guess. And there's like 8 of them.
they come in different sizes, so it just depends. I think there's like a basic like 4 or 5 pack that's like got an aromatic black walnut,
Lemongrass.
lemongrass, like kind of they're more basic. And then they have like bigger kits that are more elaborate with more of their common stuff.
So we like these little gift kits. We've actually given these as gifts before because they come with the
Lots.
full set, and then they get to try all the flavors, and then they can go out later and get a bigger bottle of their favorites. Other bitters company that we have to talk about is Beehive Bitters. They're also excellent. This is just the first bottle I could grab. This is the caramelized orange. We also have lots of their bitters.
Whenever there's a recipe that calls for an orange bitters, this is the one I go for. The caramelized orange bitters is so good. Angostura makes a good orange bitters, but it's nothing compared to this one. So,
Plus it's local.
Yep.
So your money's staying around locally. Cherries, not a great local option. However, I mean,
We have a great local store.
nobody could ever top Luxardo maraschino
No.
cherries.
No.
Just not going to happen.
now when you probably think of maraschino cherries or maraschino cherries, however you were taught to say it, you're gonna think of the bright red ice cream topping cherries, and those are okay if that's all you have.
Or if you have people over that won't appreciate these.
Also, these are the original maraschino cherry, the Italian.
They're made in Italy.
Yep, and they are well worth the money. Now they are a little bit pricey. You can get them at Caputo's, correctly?
Yes.
Yep.
Correct? But they are well worth it, and they'll last you forever.
While we're on the subject of Caputo's, they also carry the full line of like BG Reynolds syrups. You guys have seen us use these before, especially things like, I just grabbed our passion fruit syrup. There's like almost no juice in a passion fruit. And I'm lazy, and by the time I bought like 20 passion fruits to make a bottle of syrup, I could just buy this.
Yep.
So, and these guys they're a small brand, they're family owned, they're from Portland. Portland's kind of near and dear to our heart here. We go up there a lot. But yeah, those are excellent.
And Caputo's also carries all of the Bar Daddy products, and this is from Salt Lake. I don't
Yeah, they're
remember
a Salt
his
Lake
name.
company. Ryan.
These are amazing. Like, I won't switch from a different Orgeat. I made it once, and that was a pain in the butt. So
There's so much almond in there.
It is. And then their tonic syrup is to die for. I love it.
I know they also sell their tonic syrup at Water Pocket Distillery. You can actually buy a gin and tonic kit. Well worth it.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that a little more later when we get to spirits. Now, we've all had a hard time being able to support our local bars this year, and they're all struggling. But a lot of them are doing cocktail mixes to go. I couldn't get a hold of mixes from all of the bars that we go to. Just a few to mention would be like Undercurrent, Seabird,
The Alibi.
Alibi, Post Place. All of those guys are offering these amazing cocktail mixes. Water Witch, which is like kind of our home away from home. So I stopped in yesterday and hung out with Scotty and Kenzie for a little while. And
Now, these are non-alcoholic. Correct.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So
These are, yes.
these are
Yeah.
not cocktails to go. That's totally illegal in Utah.
Yeah.
These are mixes that you will come home and add alcohol to.
But if you have a pregnant friend or just somebody that doesn't like to drink, but you might want them to have a cocktail with you, this is a perfect way to go. Mocktail.
Yeah. If you can't go into the bar, or just for a great gift idea.
Stocking stuffer.
Yeah, this is like 6 servings of zombies.
This is 6 servings of eggnog mix.
Yeah.
And they have the directions on the back here that you can make.
Yeah, and they've had a really rough year, so we thought it was important to support our local bars.
And these are what we can get locally here. And with coronavirus, I'm sure that there are other places that are doing the same thing. And if you're watching this and you're not in Utah, these are good ideas. Yeah, to help support your local places and bring a little holiday into everybody else's home and everything by helping out. So, all right. So we've talked about drinkware and glasses and barware, bitters and everything like that. So we're gonna get into cocktails and making them. And one thing that will really help the new person into getting into this hobby is a good book of recipes. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of books that you can probably find that have all kinds of recipes in there. You can get vintage books or you can get modern books. And I recommend getting a book that is just well-rounded. And the one that I got given to me was the Ultimate Bar Book. I got this as a Christmas gift, and I have used it almost every day if I want to make a drink. So a good book like this really goes a long way to helping get into the hobby, getting into cocktail culture and things like that. Once you get a book like this and you're on your way, the next thing to do would be to get a more specific book, and that's where this book comes in. Smuggler's Cove is a book dedicated to tiki, and it comes from Smuggler's Cove, the bar, correct? Which is like the tiki bar. This one has everything you need to know about tiki. It is awesome. It's got recipes. It teaches you how to make your own syrups. We talked about in the last segment a little bit about buying your own. This one has recipes to make your own. It teaches you how to make your own spiced rum. If you don't want to buy it and add with all the added sugars, you can make your own.
How to decorate your room.
How to decorate your room. What is tiki, the essence, everything like that. And there are hundreds of different styles. You can get martini books. Like Sabre said earlier, she has a martini book she's never looked at, but you can get those. You can get books for European cocktails. You can get turn of the century cocktails. You can get pre-prohibition cocktails. Anything you want, and they're excellent gifts. You may not sit down every day and read them, but they're so nice to have all the time. And then just another book that I wanted to, or another type of book that I wanted to kind of highlight today. We've got kind of an all-around cocktail book, a more specific cocktail book, and then this is not a cocktail book at all. It's just a notebook. This is so helpful when you're trying to come up with cocktails, or you have made a cocktail and you love and you want to write down the recipe. Having a good notebook to add your thoughts or write down anything you want is so helpful. And these come in all shapes and sizes and everything too, and they're just blank. You can get them college ruled. You can get them blank,
we all have
drawing
one.
pads. Yeah, we all have one. We carry them around with us everywhere.
You can write down shopping lists if you find an ingredient you need.
Yep, you put your cocktail list in here. You put your shopping list in here. You put your,
tasting notes.
Tasting notes with liqueurs you want to buy or scotches you want to buy. You put them in your book. Carry them around with you. You have it always. Phones are great for that kind of stuff, but the electronics are not always reliable. They die. The batteries go dead.
Speaking from someone who recently lost a very large cocktail library because their phone died.
Having it written down seems tedious, but it really is helpful. So those are my recommendations for books and gifts for those who want to pursue this.
And our next category is going to be homebrew, which is something you might not think about. So Travis has that info for us.
Yeah, so our channel and our focus a lot has been cocktails and spirits, and more of the liquor guide to this realm, but we also enjoy brewed drinks, beer, wine, ciders, things like that you can make at home. In the 50 states, you cannot distill your own liquor, but you can brew your own beer. You can ferment your own wine. You can make your own cider, and that's something that a lot of people overlook, but is a really easy something to get people into homebrew. There are a lot of local places that sell kits and offer expertise. The one in particular that we really like to use is called the Beer Nut. They're local in Salt Lake, and they are excellent. They will point you in the right direction of anything you need. I walked in there wanting to make cider for the first time, and I left with everything I needed, and I ended up with an excellent cider 3 weeks later. So one thing to get you kind of really going is a airlock and a bung. And then you can buy gallon bottles of apple cider, add some yeast to it, and you can just cap it with this, and then in a week or two when it's done fermenting, you'll have your own apple cider. And then after that, if you buy the glass jars of apple cider, you have a jar to use for anything. You can make beer in it, you can make wine in it, and you're good to go. You can also get jars like this that have lids that are cut into that the airlocks will fit into, and you can ferment in a jar. It's really easy. You can buy 5-gallon buckets. I mean, you can get anything to get going homebrew. There are kits online. There are kits from the Beer Nut. Pretty much you need yeast and something that will ferment, and you're good to go. So along with homebrew, it's not really brewing, but you can't distill your own liquor, but you can make your own liqueurs, which are alcoholic beverages that have had flavor and sugar added to. And these jars that you can get on Amazon or from Walmart or wherever you are local are excellent for that. You can take a base spirit and you can add a fruit or a lemon peel or coffee or whatever you want to these, and you can make your own liqueurs at home rather than going out and spending the money and buying them. You can make your own and you can experiment. And on top of that, with a few bucks, you can buy these are called nut milk bags, but they're cheesecloth essentially. And then with these two simple things, you can make your own drinks.
Well, you made your own spiced rum doing exactly this.
Yep, I've made spiced rum, I've made coffee liqueur, I've made limoncello. I'm working on raspberry liqueur right now and a blackberry. So, and you basically mix them together and you leave them in your pantry for a few weeks and they're good to go. So if you're into home brewing, you may be into home liqueuring. And I don't know if that's a word.
Infusions.
It is
infusions,
now.
yeah. And these are easy, inexpensive, they're fun. You could buy these things and sell and give them to somebody as a gift, as a set and a little instruction, and they'd be off and running. Just a quick trip to the liquor store for some Everclear and you're on your way.
It's better than the cookie dough in the jar, just add water, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'd much rather have limoncello in a jar than...
or friendship bread that you'll never get rid of.
Exactly.
So
All right.
yeah.
So our next category is the one that I'm sure you've all been waiting for, and this is the beer and spirits category.
Apparel.
So let's just kick things off and say Salt Lake has had a local brewing boom. Now, I couldn't go around and buy beer from every single brewery in Salt Lake because then I would have no money left for anything else. However, I will say I have never had a bad beer from any of the breweries in Salt Lake.
No.
I seriously cannot name one. These are just ones that I had kind of sitting around the house, and we just wanted to mention it because people don't necessarily think of beer when they think our channel.
Except for this one. This one's new.
Yeah, that one is new.
We'll talk about that later.
So, Fisher, one of our favorite local breweries. All their beers that I've ever had there are great. I can't say a bad thing about them. The guys that run the place are super friendly.
All the bartenders are awesome.
All the bartenders are awesome. It's just a nice, chill place to hang.
Yep.
Proper Brewing. I think Proper was actually like the first what I would say microbrewery that I really enjoyed.
It was the one I was first introduced to.
This is one of my favorite beers that they make. It's called Lay Effect. I just happen to have it, and so it's down here in this
And it has a
episode.
flamingo Floyd on it.
I love sour beers, and two of my favorite sour beers are the Lay Effect and Lake Effect. I've gotten a lot of people hooked on Lake Effect.
And then this is from Fisher. This is one of their limited release. This is a coffee stout. And they actually roast their own coffee beans and then infuse it into their beer and come out with this. And do they do it all the time?
They do it every winter.
Every
just
winter.
during the winter. So they work with the Salt Lake Roasting Company, and they pick out the coffee and they roast it and they do all that stuff. This and the Foreign Gentleman, which is another coffee stout, which is also from Proper. Those are my two favorite, I think, coffee beers. But they just released this yesterday or this last week, and I picked it up a couple days ago while I was running around getting the rest of the stuff for this.
And I should say-
Normally it doesn't come in the growler, right?
No, so normally they haven't been
Yeah.
able to can it in the past. This is the first year they've offered it to go, so take advantage. However, speaking of Red Rock, since I'm thinking of it, a great Christmas gift is their Griswold's Holiday Ale.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
So good. If I don't have any left, or there would be some
Drink
here.
it too fast.
It doesn't last long. And all of the local distilleries and breweries, for the most part, will offer apparel. I know we've got a
We've got
a Water Pocket Distillery Box Death shirt here hanging out. We wear this stuff all the time, literally all
And I
the
love
time.
the artwork that all of these different distilleries and breweries take because they're
The,
all
There's a
super
cap
individual.
The Holy Stone hat that you see me
Very Art
wear in a
Deco.
lot of our videos. That's one of my favorite hats.
and even we have apparel available.
Yeah.
We do, yeah. You can check out
In
our
our
Teespring
Teespring.
store. We've got all sorts of stuff in there. It might not get here in time for the holidays, but you can get gift certificates too.
You sure can.
So, this brings us to spirits.
Yeah, let's get into spirits.
So, today is a special day because our friends at Sugar House Distillery are releasing two very impressive and important bottles locally. Number one, and probably my favorite of the two, if I'm honest, is the 5-year straight bourbon. Delicious. This came out today as we film this, and just baking spices, and it's a high rye mash bill at 20%.
Which I found that I prefer in my bourbon. Bourbon is sweet to begin with, and the rye gives it just enough spice to make it not overly sweet. This one is excellent. By now I've tasted a lot of, I wouldn't say all of it, there's never all, but I've tasted a lot of bourbons, and this one happens to be so good right now. I'm gonna go and get a bottle of this when we're done.
If you-
Their other limited release, yeah, pop that up there, is Boilermaker. Now, if you're from Salt Lake and you haven't heard about Sugar House's Boilermaker series, you're totally missing out. So this is where they take barrels that have aged beer, or in this case it was cider, and then they finish bourbon whiskey in it for an indeterminate amount of time. However long it takes
For it to
James
mature.
and his crew to be really happy with the taste. And this is a masterpiece. I have never had a bad bottle of the Boilermaker. We have our local liquor cabinet over here, and it's chock full of Boilermaker, and for good reason. This also came out today, so if you're watching this on Monday, when this comes out, there's probably still a little bit left, so it would serve you well to hurry down there and get it, because it will sell out.
It absolutely will sell out. In fact, James decided to bottle these in the half bottle size so that there would be enough for more people to get, because it is so good, it will sell out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll take those. Well, we'll just put them
So
over here.
we should note that this week is a huge week for a lot of Salt Lake distilleries. Several places have had big releases this week that are all amazing.
We'll talk about this one. Sabra, actually, this is kind of her favorite
little
right now.
baby.
So we'll put this out front and tell us about it.
So this is called Cerulean. I'm sure if you are into spirits, you have seen advertisements or even partaken of the Empress Gin. I have not personally tried Empress Gin. I've not been able to find it. Mike,
not in Utah.
It's not in Utah. Mike on our channel has some Empress Gin, but he got it right at the beginning of, COVID, so we've not been able to try it. So he and I will do a collaboration later of a side-by-side tasting. But with Cerulean, the fun thing about this is that they were already coming up with the idea of this gin. It's butterfly pea flower infused gin. Anyways, so when it changes to pink with the acid, they thought that was really inspiring for breast cancer awareness because it is the pink ribbon. So part of the proceeds of every bottle goes to breast cancer research, treatment, helping survivors. Really amazing. This is one of the easiest gins to drink. Way too smooth for what it is. So I would say if you just want to try a new gin or give something that's really fun to play with, this would be amazing. They have already released a second batch. This first batch sold out the same day. So
They've got more coming this weekend.
it's already released today.
So on Monday, you'll still be able to get some probably.
Hopefully. But I know they're actively making more. It's
Yeah.
just
If you can't get more of this,
they
you
have
should get some of this.
And they are expertly handcrafted spirits. The Cerulean is the latest release, but they also produce Utah's first absinthe
and only absinthe at the
that
moment.
comes straight from Utah. And this is the
It's called Apparition.
Apparition Absinthe Verde, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And if you've never had absinthe, I highly recommend it. It is well worth the time, well worth the money. It's fairly, it's not expensive by any means. Luxury does not mean expensive, but they are very well crafted.
Quality.
It's
Quality,
definitely like it's priced comparable to a lot of the other absinthes on the market.
Yeah, I agree.
But no artificial colors or added sugar
Yep,
to
exactly.
any of their products.
They also make a great gin. So
And vodka.
and
Oh,
vodka.
yes.
And
Yep.
shochu.
And sugar.
And so,
They don't make a bad product,
Yeah.
is what we're saying.
and we are pushing pretty heavily with our local scene here, as we're going to continue on with another one of our favorite distilleries here in Utah, and that is Water Pocket Distillery. And if you've seen any of our other cocktail videos, you know that we lean heavily on Water Pocket for their rums and their amaros.
Yep.
They are one of our favorites as well. This is the box death that came out this year for 2020. We showed you the shirt just a minute ago, and this is the Plague Year Special Edition Amaro. It is excellent, and they come out with, they have so many, 5 or 6 now?
Yeah, tons of products. we have a whole Water Pocket shelf in our local liquor cabinet.
And these guys have actually recently come out with a new product as well, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
so this is, it's called Empress Plum Brandy. It's farm to glass. It's all 100% Utah plums. And
They
it's so
personally
good.
stomped these plums themselves.
It's so good.
It is so good.
Again, we cracked this open a little bit earlier. We picked it up yesterday, and we tried really hard to make sure that there was a lot left in the bottle for the video. Not that you can probably see it because it's clear.
But yeah,
But yeah, and that's just a small snapshot of the stuff they have. They have whiskeys, they have
Gin.
gin.
Love their gin.
We use their gin a lot if you've seen our channel before.
they have rum, they have cocoa, they have coffee, they have Amaro. They're working on new things all the time. All of these guys are. And this is a small sampling of local things that we are shamelessly plugging now. You may or may not be from Utah, and you may not have access to these things. I think what we're trying to get across with this segment is that
We love our local.
we love our local stuff, and you should too. Whether it's from California or Portland or,
or if you come
Desert.
to
Missouri,
Yeah.
if you can
or if you
believe
come
they
to
have
visit.
stuff. But support your local. Mainly stuff too is the people you are buying for. They'll buy their own things regardless of whether you give them a gift or not. And so the idea is to give them something they wouldn't buy for themselves. I probably would not buy the Cerulean for myself because I don't particularly find myself drinking gin a lot. However, if I was given this bottle, I would drink and I would experiment with it, and it would be something that would open me up to a new experience. And so when you're thinking about gifts for people, go to the liquor store or go to your local brewery and say, you know, that looks interesting. I bet they would like that, and get it for them. And they may love it and they may hate it, but they're never going to know unless you give them the chance to.
Exactly. And tastes change over time too, you know. The stuff that we were drinking 10 years ago is not even close to the stuff we're drinking now.
Or
Absolutely.
even 2 years ago. I was an
Yeah.
avid gin hater. Now it's my go-to drink.
Speaking of gin, this bottle didn't last
Empty.
long, I'm sorry. We didn't have a chance to get a new one yet. So Beehive Distilling, their gin's excellent. They do the Jackrabbit gin. They just came out with a new rye whiskey. I wasn't able to get a hold of that one. And they have a barrel-aged gin that's also excellent.
And they have a cute little cat named Gimlet.
Gimlet, yeah.
Yeah.
They do. And they have an excellent cocktail bar as well on premises.
Another good distillery that we didn't get a hold of because we're out of it and I threw the bottles away.
New World.
New World. Their Uma gin is delightful, and their Rabbit and Grass agave spirit, because they can't call it tequila because it was not made in that region of Mexico, but their agave spirit's really good too and well worth it.
Made with the same quality stuff right here in Utah. The guys at Dented Brick have a really good, rum in Antelope Island, and they also just released a new whiskey that won a gold medal. I think it was announced today at the John Barleycorn
I
Awards,
didn't
which
even
is
hear
a big
about that.
deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah.
So really what we're trying to say here is that there's so many distilleries in Utah besides High West. Now, High West they make good whiskey. They've made good whiskey for a long time. However, Utah isn't just High West anymore. There's a lot of smaller distilleries that are doing things that are very different and interesting. And so there's a ton of stuff for you to play with. I mean, if we got every local bottle that we have in the studio out and set on the table, we wouldn't have room. I mean, we have so many.
I do want to know Taproot Soda
Oh yeah.
in Salt Lake. It's virgin soda, but it is amazing added to alcohol, or if you just drink it on your own, and it's fresh ingredients.
The root beer and the blackberry and mint.
And the lemongrass, I don't remember what the other
I
one.
think it's lemongrass and ginger.
Yeah.
Blackberry mint. with
Oh,
brown
so
brandy.
yeah. Everything from them is amazing, and I love experimenting with it. We don't do enough with them, so we'll have to work
We'll
on
resolve to do that in the future.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of our local spirits and beer and apparel.
that.
And
Scratching the surface.
yeah, it's just scratching the surface, just enough to let you guys really start to think about the things you can do for your friends. And if you're still not sure, like if all of this that we've laid out hasn't helped you,
Just go talk to somebody.
you
At
can
a
do
distillery.
that. But also, like, all of these places offer gift certificates.
Yes.
You know, so if you really aren't sure about picking that bottle or that syrup or those bitters or whatever, get them a gift certificate to a local business. You know, that money still stays local, and then they can go in and
Experience it
for themselves and pick out their own gift.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Thank you guys for sticking with us while we went through this hopefully helpful guide to gifts and introduction into how to begin to delve into this ever-widening pool of awesome
yeah.
that we've gotten into.
And feel free to comment if you have questions, like of a rye or anything, like whatever that you want to look for. We'll help you.
Give us suggestions of
Yeah.
things that we may have missed, or things that you
Wanna
find that are helpful for you or that you want to see in the future videos. Hit the like button, obviously. It helps the channel out tremendously. Subscribe if you're not. Follow our affiliate links for some awesome swag and cool straws.
Our website for write-ups.
Yeah, so like, you know, usually right here somewhere is a link to all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can email us. Yeah, get in touch. You know, we like hearing from you guys. We've got a ton of cool stuff planned for the next year.
We're socially distancing, so we like talking to people too.
Yeah, we've got a ton of great stuff planned. We're really just getting started, and we
Yep.
appreciate you guys coming along with us.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.